Today we're gonna go over some tools and techniques to help you start hitting your macro targets more consistently. So we've gone over a ton of information on what macros are, learning to track your food, you're plugging things into this app, and now it's more of how do I get all of these puzzle pieces to fit together so that I hit these targets all the time and it's not just by chance. I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible. I'm also going to share some clips from the app and things that I am doing, but it is important to remember that not everything is going to make the most sense for you. And it does take some playing with and accepting that things might not be perfect until you find what works best for you. Or things might feel stressful one week to the other until you find that right groove for you. So know that that is totally normal. First thing that we're going to talk about is we are going to talk about meal planning and then pre-tracking some of those things. Let's talk about meal planning specifically. So meal planning is essentially deciding what you are going to eat for the week. So you're going to write yourself a menu of what is going to be for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is going to give you your main staples and where a majority, if not all, of your protein should be coming from. And then we fill in the gaps with snacks where it makes sense in your day. I don't like to necessarily say you have to eat 2 or 3 snacks a day, that you can't eat any snacks at all. This is going to vary depending on your schedule and what your preference is. Some of my clients do really great with eating just 3 meals a day and minimizing snacking as much as possible. Other clients need to break things up between 3 or 4 meals or snacks throughout the day because that just feels best for them and their digestion. It doesn't have to be exact, but I like to say, you do want to plan for some sort of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, regardless of what that's going to look like. And it's going to be easiest to hit your protein goal if a majority of your protein is broken up between those 3 meals. The other thing that I want to talk about is you do not have to do all of this on one day. You do not have to plan your meals, grocery shop, and cook all on one day. You don't even have to batch prep or meal prep every single thing that you're making because that's overwhelming for me. You can break this up throughout the week in ways that it makes most sense for you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do that I find to be the least overwhelming for me, but you can take bits and pieces of this and we can adjust it together and talk through that in your assessments as well. So first and foremost, I write our meal plan on Thursdays. That's what works best for me. I see what's coming up for the weekend so I can have a game plan for what we are going to make. And then I decide what I feel like cooking based on how our schedules are looking for the upcoming week. So I essentially plan from Saturday to Friday for the next week. In that, I write down our dinners for the week up at the top, and then I discuss what my husband wants for his breakfast and lunches and what I want for my breakfast and lunches. For lunch, we always choose one protein source that we are going to bulk prep, and then we both decide how it is that we are going to utilize that. So for me, a lot of times it's a grilled chicken sandwich or a taco bowl using that chicken, and sometimes a salad. For my husband, he is always chicken, rice, vegetable. That's just how he does it. You choose how you want to do it, but having one core protein source for your lunches and your breakfast is going to make things less complicated. And then adding some variety into dinner when you do have more time to cook and a little bit more time to process things can be very helpful. From there, I write my grocery list so I have everything that I need on hand. And then on Sunday, I bulk prep whatever we need to make the components of our meals. So for the most part, in our house, it just means cutting up fruits and vegetables so they are on hand for recipes for lunches, and then cooking that one protein source for lunch for sure. And then sometimes it is making something like an egg bake for breakfast, or batch making some pancakes so that in the mornings it is a little bit less time consuming in the kitchen and it's more grab and go. Now that you have your meals planned out, you have your grocery list for the week, and you know what days you're cooking what, you can start to do what's called pre-tracking to set yourself up for success to start hitting some of these targets. So I'm going to show you that in this next video over here. What I'm doing in the app down below here in this screen share is I am going in and I am mapping out my day of what I'm going to be eating for tomorrow and adjusting things to make sure that I am hitting my targets. It's okay if you don't have every little thing planned out for tomorrow. You just want to make sure that your main meals are in there, your protein goal is within reach, and that you know you're going to stay within your calories for your goal. That's the main thing here. If you don't if you still have calories left over, or if you don't have every little snack necessarily planned out yet, that's okay. We just want to make sure that the 3 main meals that we have are going to put us in the right direction, and we aren't ending up at 8 o'clock every single night trying to hit 30 extra grams of protein or constantly chugging protein shakes to keep up. So that's exactly what I did. Is I went in and I went ahead and I made sure that my breakfast, my lunch, and dinner were in here. That's where my calorie targets played out as a result of that. So now I can go in either later today or tomorrow morning and fill in the gaps to make sure that I am fully fueled for my goals and ready to rock and roll. Pre-tracking is something that is going to be necessary for you as you start your journey, because you don't necessarily have to do things on the fly yet. You aren't familiar with looking at a recipe or looking at a plate and knowing how to rearrange it to hit your targets. The goal is over time to just be able to do more of that so that you can hop in on the fly. And if you were to put in your entire day, everything would pan out relatively in line with your goals and allow you to maintain your current physique, which is where all of us hope to be at. And things will become more intuitive as to how to make those meals to make that happen the more you do this. But pre-tracking is going to be essential as you get started so that you can plan to hit your targets. Again, if something comes up where you have the whole day mapped out and things go awry, it makes it a lot easier and more flexible for you to remove bits and pieces and add new pieces and see how they stack up together if everything is already organized in there. And the second part of that is if you have everything planned out and honestly you get to one of your meals of the day and you just aren't that hungry, you don't have to eat everything. You can split it up, you can eat it later, or that also gives me information as your coach to say, hey, maybe we need to make some adjustments to your numbers. So again, this isn't about perfection. It is about making a game plan, running it to the best of our abilities, being able to learn how to modify things when necessary, and help us understand how to roadmap our days for the future. If you have any questions on that, let me know, or feel free to drop things in the group chat if you have questions on meal planning or pre-tracking.